Hi everyone, this is going to be a quick video on Ryobi Link system stuff. If anyone's on the fence about what they want to do as far as buying a Link system, I'm going to compare a little bit of the Link to the Milwaukee. Both systems are really good. This isn't a comparison to say which one's better than the other. I've had the Milwaukee stuff for 2 years. I've got quite a bit more Milwaukee than I have Link storage stuff, but I am starting to switch over to the Link. I need two different systems, so I'm going to be using a little bit of both here on my farm. The Milwaukee primarily, if you look at this old box, you can see the color has started to fade. You know, the boxes are dirty. These things live outside. I package tools up for these for use, and I take them to the work site out on the back part of my property, and I usually just leave them out there for 2 or 3 weeks at a time while I'm building something. The Ryobi products are mostly going to stay in my shop or go into my truck. So that's really the reason for two different purposes, and the only reason I'm switching over to try out the Ryobi is to see if I like it. Like I said, I've got a lot more of the Milwaukee, so it would be easier just to start duplicating some of what I've got and showing that off. But there's a couple things I didn't like about the Milwaukee, and I was hoping Ryobi was going to work out, but really there's stuff about the Ryobi that's kind of really inconvenient. So one of the things, you can see both the lids stay open when you pop them open. The Ryobi comes with a couple of these little bins which go up on the wall system. That's one of the other reasons I'm going over to Ryobi, is my wall system. Try to get this to focus over there. I am using the wall system as well, so I'm hoping to incorporate a little bit of everything going on here in my shop. So like I was saying, it comes with some bins that are part of the wall system. They're okay. I like how they sit they lock in place on the rolling container. The downside is they're so close to the lid that a lot of my boxes, I keep my staples and nails and things like that in here for my guns, and they stick up over the top, which means I won't be able to close this lid if they're out. So it would have been awesome if these things sat just a little bit lower in the unit, so that you could have put some taller stuff in here. Not a terribly big deal. I'll just take my nails out of the box and drop them in there. They added a bit holder to a couple of their different boxes. So this box up here also has a bit holder. That one seems more realistic. That's more likely where I would put my drills and my bits and such. In this toolbox, I would imagine I'm going to be putting some of my larger tools, and it'd be great if they had like a blade holder for some different things, but I just don't think I'm gonna find this super useful. I'm sure I can throw some jigsaw blades in here and stuff like that, or find a use for it. One of the things I was a little disappointed about, that I was really kind of hopeful on, was that the toolbox foam piece drops right in this toolbox here, no problem. So I was super excited because I thought maybe I could get this into the rolling toolbox, and it does not fit in the rolling toolbox. It looks like it'll fit in the front, but when you get to the back, it just doesn't fall in place. And then as you go further down, there's step-ins. So I'm going to try to do a little paper template and cut this piece of foam down, because I'd really like to be able to set a piece of foam in there. I think it'd be nice to be able to have some tool cutouts for the bottoms and set the tools in so they'll stay upright, or like a circular saw spot where my saw is going to sit in there and not just tilt on the side. The saw base, when you're using your circular saw, you really want to try to keep that dead flat if you can, depending on what you're doing. And I'm doing timber framing stuff with it, and I'd like to be able to have my track saw sitting in there also. And that's something else I'd like to see, is I'd like to see some sort of way to incorporate the tracks, having a place to be stored on the back. So that would be pretty neat. So a little disappointed with this foam thing not fitting in the rolling toolbox. I've looked online, there is not anything other than the toolbox foam insert, which is this one, and there is a foam insert for the drawers, which this thing fit in perfectly. So there's one in there that I dropped in place. Fits great. This is the 3-drawer. The top drawer came with a bunch of dividers, so I only bought 2 foam inserts that I'll put in this middle drawer. So this is their 3-drawer toolbox right here. These inserts are pretty interesting. You can take a couple out and have a nice long space. You can also put these in any drawer, so all the drawers are set up to take these. So jumping back over to this is their standard toolbox. I thought this was like their small. It's called the standard. It's currently their smallest toolbox in depth, which also takes these drawers that go into the wall mount system. So they work on the wall link system. A little disappointed with the way they built this. They got a lot of little triangles in here, which, you know, these little angled feet pieces sit in place. They'll kind of drop in, and it looks like they're going to stay in place, and you think like, oh, that's great. But as soon as you close your lid, as you can see on this lid right here, there's nothing that's going to come down and secure that thing in place. So as I lift this up, if I tilt it, you can hear everything just slid to the side. And there they are, they moved. So a little disappointed about that. The reality is, I'm hoping not to use these in this system, and that's why I bought the toolbox foam piece. So if that works out for everything I need, I won't be using those wall systems in here. So this foam piece sits in just a little shy so that there is room with the bit holder in here to drop down and make a good seal. One of the disappointments with the bit holder, it didn't come with any actual bit holders, the rails. And I've got 2 systems here. I mean, I don't keep a lot of these things around, but so this one is too small. If I pull out the drills, you know, it sits in there, but it doesn't lock in place. So that one's too small. And this little belt pouch one that they have is too big. So it'd be nice if they would have added at least one little rail to put some bits in so that you could actually use that right away. Now I'm left trying to hunt down some sort of bit storage pieces that will fit in there, and I'm not sure what to order. They don't really give you any indication on what you should have for that. And also, they don't give you an option to really, you know, use this for anything. I mean, there's no, you can pop that off, that's about it, but it's just useless space that they could have done something with, I feel. So the 3-drawer chest, I really like this. I got no complaints about this other than there's a little tab right here. This little piece of plastic. Now, when I was at Home Depot, it had the lock in place, and I wasn't sure how to open this up initially, just looking at it. But you just gotta push this back and swing it over, and then once you swing it over, it goes up, and you can slide it to the side here, drop down, or slide it over, and that's how it locks in place. And it's got a positive lock, so it's not going to wiggle and drop down. The button to unlatch your link system is at the bottom. So this one, these are attached. Just comes off nice and easy. You push that button, it pops right off. Locking them on is sometimes a little bit more challenging. So this is their tool crate. And again, a nice little feature. So they give you a spot to put in a piece of 1/4-inch plywood for a divider. There's no way to lock any of these drawer or bins in place. And again, the toolbox foam does not fit in any way, shape, or form. Doesn't fit in there. So it would have been nice if the toolbox foam would have been more compatible between systems, like between this toolbox, that toolbox, and the rolling toolbox. That would have been super ideal to be able to have one piece of foam that actually went into all the different toolboxes. So the last one I purchased here is their small parts organizer. This is the only one that I've found so far that has a clear lid. There are some smaller, like half boxes that go on top of these. But this is the one that's got a clear lid. And again, interesting design, a little disappointed overall. So this is the only one that comes full of bins. They give you one long divider, one long space. There's no way to add additional bins over there if you did want something that was wall-to-wall bins. It comes with the three large bins and 3 small bins. Now this bin right here is a bin from the Ryobi Link wall storage system, and it comes with one divider right in the middle, and it just kind of drops in place pretty easy. Drops in. This one also is compatible with the wall storage. Has 3 different divider spots here, but the divider is created differently. So it has kind of like a T-spline on it. You can put it in the middle, or you can put it over on the side. So you can give yourself a 2/3 bin and a 1/3 bin, or a half and half bin. But one of the things that doesn't work is the wall storage divider doesn't work with the small parts divider. So I can't do multiple dividers in here. I don't know if they're going to sell these dividers eventually where you can get multiples, because I'd like to have a couple different options in there. And the other thing, so this is the one toolbox that they created where there's actually like a bin holder at the top. So it locks the bin in place when you close the lid. However, these bins move around so easily when you have the lid open that when you go to close the lid, you see how it's giving me a hard time here? It's not wanting to close. My bins aren't lined up. So you got to make sure your bins are perfectly lined up. And this one's just got a little gap here in the center. Right here, this little gap. And it's got the water seal. But even when I close both of these latches here, see that one's nice and tight here. I close this latch over here. The middle of the bin never really sucks down. So I don't know how watertight this is going to be. I'm going to, check that out here in a little bit. So overall, good design, a little bit flawed. When you look at the Milwaukee system in comparison, when you buy a Milwaukee case, so this was their smaller, thinner case, which I really, utilize a lot for my screws and stuff when I'm traveling. Their system comes completely full of drawers, also has a long space in the center. Lots of divider options. You can divide either direction. And again, this is their small, their medium. I've got one over there. But this comes full of bins. And when you close the lid, the Milwaukee system has a really positive locking system. It drops down inside of the bins themselves. So no matter how you move this thing around, those bins don't move. They're all held in place. The only downside to this system is you see there's a big pocket here, small pockets here. If I take a big pocket out and I want to have a bunch of small pockets on one side, you can't do that because this requires a big pocket, no matter how you spin it. You got to have the big drawer in the middle, but it comes with a divider, so you can easily put dividers in here if you wanted to have that be a smaller pocket. And it will work because the dividers also fit the shape of the tray, which fit inside the lid. So this is a much better design in my opinion as far as the trays go. One of the things I bought this kind of to replicate that Milwaukee system. I don't really like the fact that it's so deep. So, but it's going to be nice because I can hold a lot of, a lot of the bigger screws and stuff that I take to job sites with me. Most of these Ryobi tool systems that I'm planning on using are going to be non-bins. Like I'm not going to be using a lot of bins. I'm going to be using a lot of the foam, having the foam inserts and holding wrenches and socket sets and socket drivers, things like that in these boxes. So that's one of the reasons I swapped over. And I have not ever purchased any of the Milwaukee foam inserts. I think the Milwaukee foam inserts might have more options. So that's something I'm going to look into to see if I can get a foam insert for the Milwaukee box. Because the nice thing about this, what I'm doing is, if I decide to stick with the Milwaukee for my traveling tool set, I can always leave the Ryobi here on the farm with tools out on the property, like fence line tools and things like that. So I can just swap the systems and take the Ryobi out to the farm or take the Milwaukee into my truck. So over here, one of the things I really like that Ryobi's lacking is a tool tray. So this tool tray comes in this Milwaukee medium toolbox, and it fits in the rolling toolbox. So I thought that was really awesome because I can swap it in between the two. So that's really super helpful to have. And the Milwaukee toolboxes, one of the things I do like about them, so you can see this toolbox is completely unlatched here. Sorry, my camera's going nuts. I'm trying to use this gimbal. So this is completely unlatched. There's a handle here if I want to pick this up and use it as a handle. The big handle actually locks in and holds the lid in place, holds it closed. Whereas if I pop this open, it's now wide open. And if I lift this up, this will pop open. But that upper handle locks the lid in place. So everything is secure. So it's kind of a nice feature that they've given you, a top handle, a bottom handle, and side handles here. So that's really nice. I like that. The Ryobi, the rolling box, has handles on the side. This one here's got the handle in the front. And this thing's really driving me nuts. There we go. This one here's got the handle in the front, handles on the sides. The only thing that's lacking is that upper handle, which I really don't find that's going to be too detrimental for me. There is a bigger, a medium toolbox. Like I said, this is their standard. There is one that's about roughly the size of this drawer. That's an actual toolbox. I didn't buy that one. Actually, it wasn't in stock. I would have bought it. But so I can't compare these two boxes side by side. It might have that upper handle that locks the lid in place as well. This is the deeper Milwaukee. So it's not quite as deep as the Ryobi box is. If you look at them side by side, the Ryobi box has about an inch more storage, and that Milwaukee box will fit almost entirely inside of this Ryobi box. So it does have a little bit more dimensional size as well. They all have the water seal edge here going on. So the Milwaukee or the Ryobi all have that water seal edge. There's nothing there that's special. Yeah, so that's one of the things that's going on here with this. So if I unlock this, see, it's kind of hard to unlock with one hand. Where so if I want to unlock this, I got to push it up, and if that was heavy, it'd be hard to do. So one of the things that's nice is you can see this here. trying to do this with one hand. It's a little hard. Now it's supposed to just... Oh, yep, so totally off. There we go. So the Ryobi will lock in place on the tool wall. So if I'm using this bin and I want to just take it and put it on my tool wall or have it on a cart like this. So this is one of my assembly benches. So if I had a couple tools in here, you know, I could pop it right off my trace, off my pack out, set it on here and be ready to go, or off the link and have that ready to go. Also, they will, let's see if I can set the tripod up for this next one. And when you do it on the wall system, it does not lock in place. So it's just a, you know, set it in place and go on that particular crate. But if you're using these right here, the bottom half that would normally lock in on top of a toolbox, if you're going to use that to lock into the wall, nope, well,